We're receiving confirmed and graphic reports this afternoon, Saturday, January 17th, 2026, that a massive army of terrorists decided to try their luck by attacking a fortified military headquarters. They came with everything they had: machine guns, rocket-propelled grenades, and heavy explosives, thinking they could overrun the base and raise their flag. But they made one fatal calculation. They forgot that the Nigerian army of 2026 is not the same as the one from the past. Instead of running away, the troops stood their ground, returned fire for fire, and with the help of the Air Force, turned the hunters into the hunted. Let's get into the gist of this bloody Friday. It all started in the early hours of yesterday morning. The sun was just coming up over Bono State when the silence was broken by the sound of heavy machine gun fire. According to the acting media information officer for Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Lieutenant A.S. Atokolo, the terrorists launched a large-scale multi-directional attack. This means they didn't just come from the front gate, they surrounded the base, attacking from all sides at once. Their plan was clearly to overwhelm the soldiers with sheer numbers and noise. They were firing RPGs directly at the walls and the infrastructure. In fact, the report states that their rockets hit some of the troop-carrying vehicles and, very critically, the CCTV control room. This shows you that these were not just random ragtag fighters. They had a strategy. They wanted to blind the base, destroy the transport so no one could escape or pursue, and then move in for the kill. The CCTV room and the vehicles were partially gutted by fire, creating smoke and confusion. But here is where the story turns sweet. Despite the explosions, the fire and the smoke, the troops at Forward Operating Base Asia did not panic. They maintained what the military calls firm control of the situation. They returned what was described as overwhelming and sustained firepower. Imagine the scene: soldiers taking cover behind sandbags, bullets flying over their heads, the heat of the burning vehicles on their backs, yet they kept firing. This firefight lasted for over an hour. 60 minutes of non-stop shooting. That is a lifetime when you are in battle. But the terrorists could not breach the perimeter. They tried, but they met a wall of resistance that was harder than rock. And then the game changer arrived, the kings of the sky. The statement confirms that the air component of the Nigerian army and other aerial platforms were called in. This is why we always talk about the importance of air superiority. As soon as the jets and the surveillance drones arrived overhead, the equation changed. The terrorists, realizing that their plan had failed and that death was raining down from above, started to retreat. But you cannot run from a bird that sees everything. The report says that persistent intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance platforms immediately tracked the fleeing terrorists. This is the part that makes me smile. They thought they could just disappear back into the bush like they usually do, but the drones followed them, marked their withdrawal routes, and the fighter jets pursued them. The military uses the word neutralized, but let us speak plain English. They were wiped out. The precision strikes on their escape route resulted in scores of dead terrorists. It was a massacre of the wicked. The statement confirmed that evidence from the scene showed the terrorists suffered heavy casualties. They came to kill, but they ended up being the ones in body bags. This is a massive blow to their fighting strength and their morale. Imagine the few who survived going back to their camp to tell the others, "We went to Azia and almost nobody came back." That fear is a weapon on its own. Now, let's look at what they left behind, because this tells us a lot about their intentions. After the smoke cleared, the troops conducted a mop-up operation and recovered a frightening amount of weaponry. They found a 60mm mortar tube and mortar bombs. For those who don't know, a mortar is a weapon of war used to bomb places from a distance. They also found locally fabricated explosives, heavy machine gun rounds, and hundreds of rounds of 7.62mm NATO ammunition. This was not a kidnapping mission. This was a siege. They came prepared for a long war, but they couldn't last more than an hour against the firepower of the Nigerian state. I want to pause here and ask you, the viewer, a serious question. We often criticize the military when things go wrong, and rightly so. But when we see a display of bravery like this, where soldiers hold a burning base for an hour and still win, do you think we give them enough credit? Do you think the government is finally giving them the right tools to fight, or was this just sheer grit and determination by the boys on the ground? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. I really want to hear your perspective on our military's performance.